Hey, what's going on, guys? So I have a special guest with me here. Amna, she's actually one of my students. She got involved in the program roughly about 4 months ago. Amna, I guess give a little bit background about yourself, like before you even got started with me in Airbnb. Like, what do you do by profession?
Yeah. Hey guys, I am a eye doctor actually, and I'm always been looking for entrepreneurship and a side hustle. And I saw Donish's TikToks, and I was actually following his TikToks for 2 months before I actually reached out to him.
Got it. I guess what made you like, because of course you didn't know me, you saw me through like a social media
Nope,
page.
just social media.
What made you like want to reach out to me?
I thought your posts are actually quite genuine. You're not there like flashing a lifestyle where you're like, oh, I have this Rolex and this and that. It showed truthfulness since you were actually showing numbers and realistic numbers.
For sure. Awesome. So of course you're an eye doctor by background. I guess before you got started with me in Airbnb, like how much did you know about the Airbnb business model before you actually got started with it?
I just have some friends who told me that they Airbnb actually some properties that they own, but I didn't know that there was a concept called Airbnb arbitrage. I learned that through you.
Got it, for sure. Awesome. So I guess what made you take that leap of faith of like actually getting started with the business versus being like, let me just get some information and not
Mhm.
take action on it? Like what made you actually
So
invest
when
in the
we
coaching and actually like move forward with it?
So when we had our first orientation call, I felt very comfortable talking to you because you were telling me very truthfully, like, these are the steps of the business. This is how I went into it. This is now exactly what I'm encountering. I didn't feel a very much of a salesman or pushiness. You were just like, take your time. I'm here. And I feel like when that kind of person is the person that I needed to lead me because there was trust.
For sure. Amazing. So of course, let's talk a little bit about the Airbnb journey, right? Like 5 or 6 months ago, you've heard about Airbnb, you didn't really know too much about the arbitrage. Taking it now step right, where we're going into November 1st. You've been in the program for how long roughly?
So joined you in July then after we talked to you. So that evening I came home, I thought about it, I called you, I was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And from July, then I launched my first listing, I think in August.
Got it. So like literally the next month. So like within about 30 to 45 days, while working with me, just getting the information, getting my guidance, you pretty much landed like your first Airbnb deal, right?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. And then going into now, so about 3 or 4 months, how many properties are you sitting at in your portfolio?
I have 5 properties.
Okay, amazing. And then you're based in where? Houston, Texas, right?
I'm in Houston.
Okay. And then where are your 4 or 5 properties located?
Um, Florida, Nashville, and Houston.
Got it. So you're sitting in Houston, Texas. You have properties, of course, in Florida, in Nashville, even in Houston. Someone brand new looking into this is like, they might be thinking, oh, you got to be living where you do Airbnb. I guess tell them about like, how are you doing Airbnb operating? Because you haven't even been to some of those properties in person.
Right. Right. And that was actually a concern of mine in the beginning, like, oh, if something happens, how am I supposed to get it fixed? But what you taught me was when we have the proper teams in place and when we have a good group working with us, everything just runs smoothly. You hire the proper people you need to launch your unit and then to maintain your unit. So it is possible. You just need to find the right ways.
For sure, 100%. So, I mean, now you're running about 5 properties,
Mhm.
right? Most people think that would require a lot of time. Just realistically, now that you have 5 properties up and running, realistically, how many hours a week are you probably spending on like managing the business with those 5 properties?
So quite honestly, I look at it about 2 hours every day just to make sure that listings are still up and everything's up to date. So per week, probably just 10 hours. On the weekends, I'm busy with my family. I'm running around. So not more than that, I would say.
Yeah, so roughly about 10 hours to manage 5 properties, which is very
Yes.
reasonable. Um, I guess what made you like take the leap of faith of like actually starting the business and like taking the actionable steps and like investing your money versus like still staying in fear mode of like not doing it? Like what made you take action on it?
I guess once you just keep sitting on it, nothing's gonna happen for you, right? And that's what you also told me, where like this is a safe industry to get into. Everything is done legally and accounted for, everything is analyzed. So the risk analysis is there, but it's not that high.
Correct, for sure.
Mhm.
Now, of course, someone might be looking at this like, oh, like 5 properties might cost someone 50,000, 100,000 to get into. Let's talk a little bit about how are you able to acquire the funding part of this business, right?
Yes. So you set me up with some business creditors, and we talked to them. They run my credit report, and based on my credit report, I was able to get 0% interest funding. So that's what I used to acquire the properties.
Amazing. So yeah, so basically, like I always tell people, like as long as you have a good credit score, you can have less than a few $1,000s to your name, and you
Yeah.
could get started with this business if you have the right information, though.
Right.
So of course, you leverage business credit, 0% credit cards to get into your first 5 properties in about 3 months. Last month with those 5 properties, how much did you hit roughly in like revenue numbers?
Revenue, it was close to around 15,000.
Amazing, 15,000. So like technically now you're already running a 6-figure Airbnb business.
Yes.
Of course, maybe not in profit numbers yet, but it's going to be able to get there very soon. Um, I guess tell them a little bit about like the journey of working with me. Of course, you didn't know me 5 months ago. You just saw me from a social media page. You paid me thousands of dollars to get into the mentorship. How would you say your experience has been just overall, like just working with me in the mentorship and coaching program?
So I like how we had our weekly calls in the beginning, and even if I was busy with family life and everything, you still texted me any time of the day. You like reply back, even if you're busy. You say, "Hey, I'll reply to you by this time." So as a mentor, I feel very comfortable. I know, like, hey, he's still there, and he will get to me when we can. And I feel like the journey really did progress, like as opportunities came about, because there were some two opportunities, that properties that my dad had, that we also analyzed, and we realized that those were not going to be good investments. So analyzing the numbers and having truthful opinions really helps also, because you're experienced and then you know what's actually going to work market wise or not. And
For
then
sure.
your group that we join, that is a gold mine. That is what helps me grow so fast, because going through that group is how I got most of my properties.
Amazing, for
Mhm.
sure. So right now you're sitting at about 5 properties. Last month did about 15,000 in revenue. I guess what's your goal overall now in the next 6 to 12 months with your Airbnb business? And last time I know when we spoke, it's crazy because we spoke on a call. You were working at your job while we did the call, and you're
Yes.
like, "Hey, I want to get out. I want to get out of this position maybe in the next 6, 12, 18 months."
Yes.
Um, where do
So
you see
I love
yourself taking the business now from like
that.
12 months from now?
So I love what I do. I like the community service aspect of it, but I am also a mom, and I want to devote my time to my family. So I like the opportunity that I'm going to be able to grow, to not be tied to my job full time, hopefully. So I see that in the next 6 to 12 months, that maybe my goal is to actually double my portfolio. And since I am a super host now, after I became a super host through your guidance, I noticed my booking rates increased, and the value of the booking increased also.
For sure. So a lot of people always ask me, right? Like, oh, what if I start Airbnb? What if I get a property, but it doesn't get booked? Because that's always everyone's worry, right?
Right. Right.
Um, just roughly give people an idea of like you having about 4 or 5 properties last month. What's been your occupancy roughly per month so far?
Average occupancy has been around 75%.
Amazing. That's being booked about 23, 22 days out of 30 days in a month,
Yes,
which is
for sure.
really solid.
Mhm. So I feel like you do really good at coaching us on how to book, like, the gaps.
Yeah,
Yep.
100%. So it just really comes down to like dynamic pricing and understanding how to price weekdays versus the weekends. Your experience with just doing Airbnb, like how do you feel like it's just been overall as a business model? Overall, just like giving people a background that might be like looking into this, thinking like, should I do Airbnb? Should I do e-commerce? Should I do another
Mhm.
business model? Like as an overall scale of just the Airbnb arbitrage model, like how do you think it is?
I think it is a great model. I would say invest in as much as you want at first. Go one property at a time. Understand for 2 to 3 months and then grow. And that's kind of how you taught me also. You're like, figure it out. And then you learn as each guest comes in what each people's needs are also. And in each season you learn, right? I kind of started in summer and now it's fall. So different rates and different values are available. So this is actually a big learning curve. And I would definitely tell anybody, if you are thinking about doing it, go for it.
For sure. So
Mhm.
next question would be like, okay, if someone's looking to get into Airbnb, do you overall recommend, because I always tell people, right, there's two options to go about getting into any business, especially let's just say Airbnb, for example. Either one, option one is like you can go figure everything out yourself, go through trial and error, watch a bunch of YouTube videos. Or
Yes.
number two, you pay a coach or mentor that already has some results. In your experience, if someone's coming brand new that actually wants to do this business, do you recommend them to just figure everything out by themselves and just watch a bunch of videos? Or would you say like it's a lot smarter to just pay a coach or mentor and go through that process? In your honest opinion, what do you think is smarter for someone to do?
So I kind of went through this last year when I was thinking about Airbnb. When my friends mentioned they do this to their properties, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and it seems like every YouTube video gives you the basic five little backbone of knowledge. But that knowledge is not enough to get started. Just like how we go to school, whether it be like university or trade school, to actually learn something, joining your program was going to school for me. The way that your videos were set up, I'd go through them, then text you, be like, hey, what did you mean by this? Or how did you mean like to set up a bedroom or a living room? So everybody needs that education before you go launch anything,
For
right? If you're
sure.
going to be a banker or an entrepreneur or a teacher, you need to learn before you jump into it.
100%, 100%. Awesome. I guess we're overall, so your goal in the next 6, 12 months is double the portfolio, hopefully get to 20, 30K a month in Airbnb. That should put you in a profit range, hopefully around 5 to 10K. Um, awesome. Well, I guess working, I mean, I know you're not big on social medias, but yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to kind of go over was like your so far experience with doing Airbnb with the coaching and everything. If someone is potentially thinking about getting into Airbnb, what would be your biggest recommendations
To
for
join your group.
for sure?
Yes.
Why would you
Yeah.
say that though?
I would say that because you give very, very truthful advice. And I keep saying truthful because actually, before talking to you, I did message 2 other people. But that call and that feeling that I got from you when you like had your presentation and explanations, the other people were just like very, very pushy. And they were like, no, we got to do this. You got to do this. Everybody's doing that. We make $1 million. Well, no one's going to make $1 million from the beginning. You actually showed us your journey, and that journey is what helped me understand.
For sure. Amazing. Well, awesome, guys. You guys heard from Amna. She's a professional. She's doing Airbnb. She's picked up 5 properties literally within a few months. She's going to probably scale double that.
We're
And
gonna grow together.
yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you hopping on, and we'll
Thank
talk
you.
later.